on the 61st Independence Anniversary Lecture, The Journey So Far with the Renewed Hope Agenda in view, taking place here in Kaduna, courtesy of Arewa Think Tank. And on behalf of the outside broadcast crew, I now hand you over to our studio for continuation of our programs.
One thing that is very clear, why would somebody want to buy a vote to represent a people if that you have ulterior motive other than leadership? People should present themselves to leadership and have people really elect them. But one thing we need to give to Professor Soludo, if we don't want to be political, is the fact that he mobilized the communities. If you follow their campaign clearly, you'll find that communities were donating money to their campaign. For the first time, persons in APC campaign platform will tell you that there was not even money within the party campaign structure to do any campaign. The communities were having it themselves. And which is what I think is a product of good governance. We need to have a situation where people will have the people determine who represent them. True, if you're an incumbent, you should be able to provide service to the people so that they have reason to defend you. Election should be, for an incumbent, should be a referendum where people will determine whether you've done well in the past or whether you have the capacity to have another 4 years. So,
all right, if you're just joining us from the Network Service of the Nigerian Television Authority, this is Political Update, and we've been x-raying the Anambra governorship election over the weekend with the incumbent, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, being given a second chance or another term of office, perhaps if what we call an emphatic thumbs up by people in Anambra State concerning, of course, the stewardship or stewardship. And we'll be looking at that with the Director General of the Interparty Advisory Council, Prince Chinedu Obi, who is also the National Chairman of the NRM, that's the National Rescue Movement. How did your party fare? Did you present a candidate in this one? And how did they fare? I mean, how did, yes, they filed because they joined ticket in the election. And what were perhaps the challenges as far as, what we call perhaps the newer parties? What were the challenges confronted by the newer parties? One of them, of course, would be what we have discussed earlier, talking about vote buying and perhaps overbearing influence of some of the so-called bigger parties.
Yeah, my party fielded a candidate, Honorable Ndidi, who also doubles as the state chairman of our party in Anambra State. We were not satisfied with the outcome in terms of discourse ascribed to him, but it's also one of those issues we have.
Is it what is
in Nigeria?
Why do you say we've called ascribed to him? Is it not what is called?
Well, maybe I'm looking at it from maybe this thing about Nigerians not looking at gender. When a woman is involved, sometimes the two women that participated in that election, my party candidate and that of the AAC, didn't have the kind of vote that one would have expected young women who participated in that process will have, and which I think the women folk and the youth folk will need to look back to see why they don't support their own in any election. We wanted to balance the situation when we presented women, the National Rescue Movement and the AAC, but of course the Anambra people didn't think they needed to vote for women. It seems like they preferred the men.
All right, you were on ground and you saw the conduct of the exercise. You were to tell the new man in the seat, talking about Professor Joash Amukwiton, what he needs to do moving forward, because one would say, we had the director of voter education here, and he said out of about 13 items that were to be concluded before the elections, INEC had already done 9 before the appointment of the new chairman of INEC. So, moving forward, 2 off-season elections next year, Ekiti and Osun State. What should what would INEC have learned from this one, from the party perspective, and what would they carry forward in the 2 off-season elections for next year?
Over the time, INEC had consistently improved under Mahmoud. I think what will happen now is that Ami Putan will take it from there. I had known Ami Putan for a very long time. I used to be the consultant to a group in the National Assembly called The Initiative, a body of legislators, cerebral legislators that thought there was need to use legislation to better the country. I subsequently became the Director General of that group. in one of our programs, Amiputan, when we saw the election after Professor Iwu, we had to discuss governance and electoral reforms. And we looked around, he was one of the persons who felt had the capacity to discuss that matter in our roundtable. Today, here's an opportunity for him to carry out those things he told Nigerians in one of those roundtable issues. I believe that with the Amiputan that I know, he would take INEC to a place that Nigerians will be happy. We have a body that is responsible, that knows his tax. Looking at his background, a professor of law and law of evidence, you heard him say that he would try as much as possible to reduce the number of cases that go to court through the process and procedure that he put in place. And I'm sure even if you look at Anambra election, you can see that he has started demonstrating that. For the first time, by 12 o'clock, majority of results are already on IREF. So that shows he knows what he needs to do. But of course, we need to keep talking about electoral reform, logistic issues, because of course, if you notice that last election, you saw people who talked about not having materials arrive at about 10 o'clock. That has to improve. And make sure that he deploys. Okay, of course, you see the returning officer is also another SN. He needs to mobilize persons that have integrity, that will have their name also put in this thing, knowing that whenever they fail, their own credibility and integrity are at stake.
All right, moving on now. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Professor Nantawe Iwada, has restated the commitment of the current administration to promoting freedom of worship by adherents of all religions and dismiss any allegation of Christian persecution in the country. Professor Iwada who stated this in Akwanga, Nasarawa State, called on the people of all faiths to unite against enemies, what are termed enemies of the country.
He's standing with us in prayers. We acknowledge the challenge that we have in the country as a government, and the president has always said that he's out to ensure that we stamp out all form of violence against people, regardless of their faith, and to give equal opportunity for every Nigerian.
Meanwhile, the federal government is to strengthen regional development efforts in the country. President Tinubu made a commitment at a meeting with ministers of regional development and the leadership of the regional development commissions.
Minister of Regional Development, Abubakar Momo, leads chairmen and managing directors of the Regional Development Commissions to brief President Bola Tinubu on their progress and challenges. This is the first interface between the President and the heads of the commissions since their inauguration. The meeting was behind closed doors. Briefing State House correspondent afterwards, the Minister of Regional Development, Abubakar Momo, believes the meeting will pave the way forward for development across the country.
We get a better result because we want to start running. The Regional Development Commissions are very, very crucial to the development and progress of this very country.
These 7 development commissions Mr. President has put in place, as far as we are concerned on this side, represent the surest bullets we intend to use by this administration to shoot down all development challenges facing us as a nation.
Similarly, the President also met with his senior special assistant on community engagement, where he reaffirmed his administration's commitment to strengthening social cohesion, promotion of peace, and addressing developmental challenges across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones.
Now, critical stakeholders of the People's Democratic Party loyal to the Wike Anyanwu bloc have petitioned the National Judicial Council over alleged judicial misconduct by a High Court judge in Oyo State. This development is another tweet to the lingering leadership crisis within the party.
3 party stakeholders aligned with the Wike Anyanwu bloc, Austin Wachukwu, who is chairman of the Chairman Forum of the People's Democratic Party and Imo State Chapter Chairman, Ama Abraham Nana, the Abia State Chapter Chairman of the PDP, and Tona Alab George, who is the factional South-South National Vice Chairman of the PDP, petitioned the National Judicial Council on November 5, 2025, and acknowledged by the Office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria on November 6, 2025.
This order, according to us, directly contradicts a valid and subsisting judgment of the Federal High Court by Justice Omotosho, which had expressly restrained the party from holding its convention on the same dates.
The petitioners contended that Justice Akintola's action amounts to sitting on appeal over a judgment of a court of coordinate jurisdiction, an act that belief undermines the judicial hierarchy. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
All right, before we go, we still have the Director General of the Interparty Advisory Council with us, Chinedu Obi. Chinedu, just looking at the political terrain at the moment, we are getting into the business end of political activities as we head up to, of course, the 2027 elections, before then 2 off-season elections. We've seen gales of defections as well as internal party crisis as well. In your discussions at the council, how are you addressing some of these things? We've seen situations where, some of the followers even become confused as to what members, where their members are or where their leaders are in this crisscrossing of political parties, especially when the calendar is indicating that the general elections is at hand.
Well, what you find happening across political parties are just normal issues that you find when 2 or more people are in a political system. Politics is about interest. Most times people pursue their interest, and which is what is now contexting the position some of us hold that political parties have ideology. Because one would say, if we are ideologically based, why are we now not fighting around our ideology but some of these personal interests? My thinking about it is that the opposition particularly should not allow external forces to determine what happened within their party. The opposition should be able to put themselves together and present themselves as a formidable force, and also plead with the media to de-emphasize this division, because sometimes we paint the picture larger than it is in the real sense. Let's put more attitude in sensitizing Nigerians to know that the whole thing falls with the people. The political class, like I've always maintained, constitutes less than 3% of Nigerian population. So if the political class is unable to put itself together, Nigerians who are the receiving end should put themselves together and keep behind any party that is ready and get a leader. Maybe by that, the political class will learn its lesson.
In terms of engaging the citizenry, in terms of capturing the imagination of the citizenry, a lot of people say the First and Second Republics, the political parties did much better, even when they didn't have access to all these internet facilities and better technology as well in disseminating information and ideas. But today, we see political parties turn, all the activities just around the elections and the 4-year carnival that, go around that. The carnivals that go around, elections, as against deepening electoral processes and under advertising perhaps their own agenda amongst the citizenry.
I've argued in this studio that one of the poor legacies of the military was what happened in 1999, that threw up, if you like, people that are not democratic elements, who of course haven't captured power in 1999, derailed from core party ideology. The era you talked about in this country, that was when the party leadership was strong, can determine the governance based on the manifesto of the party, based on the ideology of the party. But today you have persons who rule outside the party, who no longer drive the idea of the party, but their selfish personal agenda. And of course that has populated the political system today, and which is why some of us have always argued that when the political class fail, the Nigerians should use their vote to redirect the process. True, this gale of defection is worrisome, because if you are a real Democrat that believes in the ideology of your party, you shouldn't be jumping from one political party to the other. We have also canvassed. Yes, in our constitution today, there's a provision that says once you vacate your legislative seat, if you move from your party to another party, you vacate your legislative seat. It's only recently we have seen a judgment that also supports that. That did not extend to the executive. many of us, particularly IPAC, is saying the constitutional amendment should also extend that penalty to a governor or someone in the executive who moved from his political party to another party, so that you don't carry the mandate of given to you by one political party to another party that possibly think.
If for one reason or the other the party becomes defunct for one reason or the other, or enmeshed in crisis, but we can't further interrogate this because time is not our friend. But it's nice to see you again after quite a while. Chinedu Obi, Director General, Interparty Advisory Council. Thank you so very much for coming today.
Thank you,
for you
sir.
for watching. I guess out there, I will be back again on Friday. Between now and then, please play your politics for the greater good and keep it loved on the Nigerian Television Authority for news, reviews, previews, and interviews. The political season is almost on us as the two off-season elections are next year. You know where to look for it at the Nigerian Television Authority. Bye-bye now.